Welcome back. This is the AM show, Sweetie Abochi, and yours truly. Time now for the news review. But right before we usher in our guest for the morning, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment always. And today they are doing same. They're offering you, for a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra, Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma Boy here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takrade, Anaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siamanzima. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Well, Sweetie.
Yes, Benjamin.
Here we are, and I'm still looking forward to the day I can grow enough hair to, make a bun on top of my head like yours.
Are you very hairy? Are you?
I am semi-hairy.
Okay.
You know of the word hirsute, right? Hirsute.
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 Okay.
People who are very hairy.
Thank you.
Hirsute. I am not there yet, but in my family, my father's side, they are. So I guess for me, I account for it with my beard, which I trim all the time. If I left it for 2 weeks, it would look monstrous. Yeah.
I used to be Brinya. What's the English word for Brinya?
What do you mean when you say brinya?
The opposite of hirsute.
Oh, just in your bowl.
Yes.
A bowl,
Yes.
Oh,
and I pray to God. Benjamin, let's go.
We're actually engaging in some sort of individual expose right now.
Huh?
Individual expose.
Are we?
All right, Mary Poppins. Would you like to introduce our guest?
Oh, yes. So today joining us for the news review is Nana Yao Sapong. He's a political assistant to Alan Kojo Tremantin from the Movement for Change.
Now Alliance for Revolutionary Change.
Yes. Okay, and he joins us via Zoom. Good morning, Nana Yao Sapong.
Good morning.
Welcome aboard the AM show. This is the news review segment with me, Sweetie, and Benjamin Akakbo.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to your viewers.
Great. So before we get into the newspapers, you have about a minute to react or talk about any topical issue that's, it's been on your mind that you would like to speak to.
Thank you very much once again. Basically, what every Ghanaian is talking about now is the government's ability to be able to give to us Ghanaians the power supply. And yesterday we did hear the president say that there's stability. I'm yet to hear Ghanaians talk about it and to actually confirm whether or not indeed power is being stable. But all we plead is that they should be able to put plans in place and put very strong, for lack of a better expression, strategic measures that would seek to bring an end to this back and forth power supply. We saw it in 2014 when the ADC was in power. We're seeing it now in 2024, and it should tell us that indeed there is still more to do, and it's our ability to put in what I call political and economic will to be able to ensure that the power infrastructure is well fed financially to be able to hold the growing population and industrializing that. Thank you.
Right. Benjamin, do you have any responses before we get into the
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay. Right, let's start with the Daily Guide newspaper. On the front page, it says, joy in Appiatse as Bawumia commissions 124 new housing units. Daily trial for Abesim killer. Kaswa shooter not as staff, according to National Security. And Nana unveils Otumfuo stamp tomorrow. Let's start with the story in Appiatse because, let's start on a joyous note. So the Appiatse community was destroyed by a fatal explosion on Thursday, January 20th, 2022, killing about 13 people and leaving several others seriously injured. Ahead of the commissioning, relieved and excited members of the Appiatse community held a candlelight vigil in remembrance of their loved ones who lost their lives during the explosion, as well as to celebrate their new home. Vice President Dr. Bawumia, who led the delegation to commission the housing unit, said the swift reconstruction of the community, as promised by President Akufo-Addo, underlines the government's commitment to the welfare of those affected and other people. Quote, on Thursday, January 20th, 2022, we witnessed a very tragic incident at this community, at the same place where we are gathered today. A sudden explosion shook our foundation, shattered lives, and left scars etched deep into our collective memory. It left the Appiatse community and indeed the entire country in deep sorrow and distress. That is some of the things that Dr. Bawumia said yesterday during the commissioning of the 124 new housing units. Anaya Sapong, any reactions to this story?
Yes, it's actually a joy to have had this month that the government has been able to actually complete the housing project that it promised the people of Appiatse. But I have a few issues to raise. First of all, what have been the lessons learned? I am yet to actually come in contact with the full report from the incident, and I am still yet to read about the contribution of the mining company and whether or not they have been a part of this entire rebuilding of this community. We mostly, when such incidents happen, what we are quick to do is to actually come in as government to try to play politics with this. So we have built the place up as government that did it, and then everybody hails the government. But
Nanaya, not to interject, but we do know that the mining company had a pivotal role in putting this up. It wasn't as though government dug into its own pocket and did everything. You know, there was a fund, the Appiatse fund, and
there was a fund. And
yes. So the mining company came through. I know you know, but I'm just clarifying.
If you did hear me, I posed a question. I said, what has been their contribution? See, these are all being quantified. You understand? At the end of the day, the company is the one that actually does benefit more from the community. And so, as a citizen who pays taxes, I would want to be able to know how much the company indeed have contributed to the rebuilding of the community. But moving away from that, I think that it is time that as a country we look at the other sectors of the economy that can contribute much more, bigger than just the mining sector. I was reading a report that said that in the second quarter of 2023, the mining and quarry activities in this country contributed somewhere about 5.8 billion Ghana cedis to the economy. And then if you look at the manufacturing sector, it did contribute about 4.6 billion Ghana cedis. And if you look at the effects of our mining on our land and our communities as compared to the effect of the activities of other sectors such as the manufacturing, which one is more and which one should government actually concentrate on? I was comparing it to a place like Malaysia, where in 2022, 2022, oil palm alone contributed about $36 billion to their economy. And looking at how much mining is actually contributing to Ghana's economy. I mean, that's a 2023 second quarter, it was about $482 billion. That is ranging around 5.8 billion.
Right.
To this. in my view, I think that this should be a lesson learned. This should tell us that we should be looking at other sectors, because mining actually is having so much of negative effect on us.
Okay.
But we are not able to control the other activities that comes along with mining, the effects on our land, the galamsey and all of that. So if we compare the two, the other sectors and the mining sector, then we should know where we should concentrate if we want to move Ghana. And of course, everybody is crying that Ghana should be moved into an industrialized economy. And I do not think that we have a future in mining. I think that we should be moving away from it and concentrating on other sectors, the industrialization, the agriculture. That
all right, Nanayo. Point made. Let me do some 2 quick stories and then come back to you for your reactions before we get into some international news and then move on to another paper. Kaswa shooter not as stabbed. This is on the page 3 of the Daily Guide newspaper. The Ministry of National Security has indicated that Benlord Ababiu, the suspect accused of shooting and killing a soldier in Millennium City near Kaswa, is not a national security officer. So, quote, the ministry wishes to put on record that the suspect, Benlord Ababiu, who is currently in police custody, is not a staff of the Ministry of National Security. The minister said the denial came after social media users claimed Benlord Ababiu was a staff of the National Security Ministry shortly after the bloody incident. And the statement urged the public to disregard any news reports depicting the suspect as a Ministry of National Security employee. I'm sure you follow the story. This is just a clarification from the National Security Ministry saying that the suspect who's currently in police custody is not a staffer. Benjamin.
I mean, what can I say about this? Maybe we'll throw it to Nanayo if he has any thoughts on it.
Ben, you have a lot to say about this because it is of interest to all of us as a people.
Well, you can comment on it. I think.
How long has Benlord been carrying himself as a national security personnel in and around the Kaswa environs? I do not think that this is the very first time. And if you send your reporters out there to Kaswa, they would tell you that he's been carrying himself around as such, because every news that has come out since the incident says as such. And so I do not think that is the first time the national security or the police is actually hearing this. And if you watch the videos that are circulating, even the one that was actually taken at the premises of the police station where the shooting actually took place, you would notice, I mean, from the surface, on the prima facie, from the surface of it, you would notice that everybody knows him as such. This is a huge national security issue. This is not the first time someone is dying out of a land dispute. And I think that the national security, the police, and the lands ministry should be able to put up some sort of a commission to be able to investigate some of these matters and quickly, swiftly bring the culprits to book. If we do not put in some level of fear, some level of fear in these persons who carry themselves as land guards and even security personnel who actually are hired by individuals who have land disputes to go and actually claim their lands for them. If we are not actually able to put in some constitutional measures, some laws to actually severely punish individuals who indulge in such activities, we would always wake up to hear some of these news.
Well, Nanayo, sorry to interject again. We have to move on to other stories, but I just wanted to chip in that it's not why I didn't want to get into this. You know, yesterday we spoke about, and in fact, over the last 2 days, but Nanayo talks about a law. We have a law. Land guardism is in there. You remember when Ayawaso West Wogon happened and all of that, apart from people engaging in, what were they even called?
Hooligans.
No, these groupings. I'll try and remember.
The ones
vigilantes and land guards. All of them. There are rules, regulations. There are laws on them. But
But you and I
know,
would
the
agree
usual
that-
thing happens. And another thing sometimes we lose stock of. A lot of these land issues and all of that, if you go and look in there, there's either a politician or some traditional ruler behind pulling some. It's not something that we can sit on air and say, oh, it is the law and do this and do that. It goes way beyond that. So that's why I didn't even want to. As for the person involved, that's another matter. But these land disputes, I mean, the tentacles are as long as, anything you can imagine.
Well, thankfully, he's in police custody. Let's see how that pans out. But
Nanaya, please, let's move on to other stories. I mean, we have quite a number of clips.
I'll do
if
two
you don't mind.
stories on international front and then move on to the last paper I have. Dubai flights cancelled, schools offices shut as rain pelts UAE. Emirates was forced to cancel and delay several flights in and out of Dubai, the second busiest international airport in the world, while people and students were instructed to work and study from home as heavy rains returned to the United Arab Emirates on Thursday. The storm comes just 2 weeks after record-setting rainfall triggered damaging floods in several parts of the country and neighboring Oman, which killed at least 4 people in the UAE and ground the bustling city of Dubai to a halt. This story, I think 2 weeks ago, we saw that they recorded about a year and a half worth of rain in about 75 years, and it happened again, all because of global warming or climate change. Let me do one last story and then I'll take your reactions. Kenya appoints first woman Air Force head. Kenya's President William Ruto has appointed the first female commander of the Air Force. Major General Fatuma Gaiti Ahmed becomes the first woman in Kenya's history to head one of the military services. She was appointed alongside other leaders, including a new head of the armed forces following the death of the military chief and others in a helicopter crash last month. General Charles Kahariri was promoted to take the vacant position. Major General Ahmed was previously held other firsts in the military leadership that is dominated by men. She was the first woman to rise to the rank of brigadier and major general. This comes as good news to me.
It comes as good news to all of us who are supportive of more women in leadership.
Okay. Nanayao.
Yes, I mean, it's good news to everyone who has been in support of women and young people actually taking center stage of decision-making and very active role in developments in every country. And I think that Kenya has done well. Ghana, we did a lot. I mean, from the Office of the Chief Justice through the Office of the Chief of Staff, and now we are actually fighting for more. It's a call for all the political parties actually to have policies, ensuring that women actually have a quota in appointments and all of that. But having said that, I think that what is happening in the UAE actually is a call on the entire world and all of us to actually have a keen interest in swift change in our climate. It happened some few weeks ago, and it's happening now. As is happening in UAE, I believe and hope that Ghana, we are actually preparing ourselves for it. If you look at what the heat is doing to us, then we should also expect what the rains will do to us. This is actually a call for us to put in measures, very strong measures, to be able to deal with it when the rain fall. The warnings have been on the wall. I think the warnings have been on the wall, and we should really learn from what is happening in other countries. It's not only the UAE. Some other countries are also facing same. And we should really take note.
Okay, thank you, Nanayao. I'll just do some quick headlines and then move over to Benjamin. The Ghanaian publisher says Appiatse back to life as Bawumia commissions 124 housing units for the community. Rebuilding of Appiatse shows government is delivering, according to Abu Jinapor. EC refutes Ejiso viral video claims. Child Rights International pledges support for dog victims. These are other stories in the Ghanaian publisher. You can grab one for yourself. And the custodian...
Which video, though, is the EC decrying?
I think it's the one with the envelope. We can get into that story.
What is the denial?
Okay, let's get into the story.
Interesting to find out.
The story should be on page 3, right? So the Electoral Commission has dismissed allegations stemming from a video circulating on social media that purportedly shows electoral malpractice during the recent Ejiso by-election. The video in question reportedly depicts an individual unlawfully stuffing ballot papers into a ballot box within an enclosed space. The EC has, however, confirmed that the footage has no connection with any of its operations or the Ejiso by-election.
Yeah, so it's a different matter. It doesn't have to do with...
I remember the statement saying that EC officials were blue and that the people we saw in the video were wearing green and some other colors. And so that speaks to the fact that they are not EC officials. What papers do you have? But before then, Nana Yao, the last story about the EC, make it quite brief for us.
We all saw the videos and we saw the section or the polling station where they were standing. Do we need the EC to tell us whether or not they were EC officials? If they were not, what were they doing there? I mean, they were so very much close to where the ballot papers were being shared, where the ballot
But the Electoral Commission, which hires people to conduct these elections, is telling you these people...
This was live on
Can you at least let me land?
This was live.
Can you let me land? They are saying these officials were not working with them. So what then do you do? How do you prove that these people were actually, or it had anything to do with the elections? How do you prove
we always cover up some of these things. The footages were clear. That was the MP for Kwadaso. We saw his face. We saw him. Why do we say an unknown individual? I mean, why do we always have to cover up some of these things? I mean,
Nanaya,
we all saw.
I think you're mixing things up. You may have missed. These are two separate incidents. In fact, the Kwadaso MP's own, Professor Kingsley Nyako, we have that footage. We captured it, fortuitously. And that's not what is being referred to. It's another video supposedly showing EC officials and someone putting ballot papers into a ballot box.
Yeah.
That is a different matter.
No, I'm just...
That is what this story is referring to. That is what the EC is countering, not the Kwadaso one.
I'm just putting the two together. They actually denied the first one. And so we're saying they are denying the second one. We saw the footage. We saw the people. I mean, we all know what the EC wore. We know how the ballot boxes were. And fine, they can say that they want to probe further and actually do further forensic investigations. I would agree. But for them to actually come out outright to say, no, it has nothing to do with them, when everybody knows that actually happened in Ejiso.
Okay. All right.
They should actually tell us we should give them some time to do further investigations. And we will. I mean, we are Ghanaians. We are very patient. But to just come out, get up in the morning and say, no, that's not an EC official when everybody has seen the footage.
So I like to know what actions will be taken. Action is, so you are political assistant to Alan Chermating. Is the Alliance for Revolutionary Change going to do anything about that moving forward? Are you going to push the EC on any front, go to court or something? What are you going to do?
What we're going to do is to seek more stronger election regulations. That is what we're going to seek. We were not a party to this by-election, and so we have no locus. But what we would do is to seek a say during the IPAC meetings, though they say it is not a decision-making body, which we agree, but we will make our input. And
I have a quick follow-up. At least I've got the thrust of what you're saying, but one of the three independent candidates, the one who secured over 40%, Kwabno Usu Diomi, had Hopes in Adoya, who is a member of your party or your movement, the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, in there as the chief person representing him in the elections. And some have drawn linkages. In fact, President Akufo-Addo had said, campaigning in Ejiso, that whether Idiomi is Afrafrantor or Umbrella or whatever, he had made those allegations. Is Idiomi a member of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change?
If the president has said that, and if Idiomi had been able to pull these number of votes, and of course, having the MPP said that the Afrafrantor was actually going to be short-lived and that we did not have the numbers, and if they are now drawing linkage of Idiomi...
Nanaya, I'm asking you a direct question. I'm not asking you for conjecture. I'm asking, is he a member of the ARC? That's it, bottom line.
Idiomi was an independent candidate that contested and got over 50,000. That should be the fear. That should be what the MPP should be thinking about. And whether or not he's a member of Afrafrantor, I think that we all know that the the people of Ghana are tired of the NPP and the NDC.
All right, let's get into the other papers. I just had this message come through though. Walter, I'll just leave it at that. He says, "Good morning. Please, OEB power just went off. The president said Dumso was over, and you add something else that I can't read. You say the president is not being honest with us, or maybe he wasn't given the right information. If you are in OEB this morning, anywhere in OEB, confirm for me. Let me know. Send me a message. Do you have power? You say you did you have power overnight?
Yeah.
You did?
I did.
Okay. I did as well. I had power.
You know, yes,
I had power overnight. Anyway, you were going to chip in something. We have to quickly get into other papers because of
on the power outage. You remember I said that it is not the president to say, but it's Ghanaians to say whether or not they have stable power. The same way they didn't tell us that there was Dumso, and it was Ghanaians that came out to say there is Dumso. I think that you should leave that to Ghanaians. If we have stable power, please let them know we have stable power.
Let's look at the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Renal patients to receive treatment subsidy by end of year. Dr. Okoboy says so. Royal artifacts on display in refurbished Manshia Palace Museum. There's also the story about Appiatse getting new homes. We've already delved into that story, in fact, yesterday and today. Alleged robbery on former Second Lady. Court hears argument for bail May 13. On the back page, Tete. I'm talking about former three-time Africa boxing champion Ebenezer Tete, crowned WABA heavyweight champion. And that was on the back of a TKO of his Togolese counterpart. Hearts fans charge at players after Accra Lions defeat. Then 2024 edition of Accra City Doubles tourney ends, and Ghana to participate in World Athletics Relays. You would recall that in the African Games, they had placed second to Nigeria. In the Penn Games, they had placed second again to Jamaica without Benjamin Azamati. And they are hoping either on points or through these qualifiers to make it to the Olympics. They are ranked 15th in the world. But let's get into some other stories. And persons suffering kidney diseases, and that has become very common. Let's take care of ourselves. Watch what you drink. And those men who are in the habit of taking all kinds of cocktails to perform, you should be watching what you're putting into your body, because in a few years' time, you could be... But persons suffering kidney diseases are to receive some form of subsidy in the treatment of dialysis by the end of this year. The Minister of Health designate, Dr. Bernard Okoboy, has said. He promised to lead discussions with the National Health Insurance Authority, which he headed formally, and the Health Committee in Parliament to ensure that renal patients were put on the National Health Insurance Scheme to reduce the burden of dialysis patients. That's one. And we can also look at, I believe, this story about the royal artifacts on display. We've spoken about it for months. I'll look at the other story, page 3. Court hears argument for bail May 13 on alleged robbery on former Second Lady. So the High Court in Accra will on May 13 hear oral arguments for bail by lawyers for the man who allegedly robbed the former Second Lady, Mrs. Matilda Emisa Arthur. Mr. Paul Asibi Abarga, counsel for the accused, Yahuza Osman, a self-acclaimed businessman, asked the court, presided over by Justice Lydia Osei-Mafu, to adjourn the case to May 13 to enable him respond to the motion against his bail application filed by the prosecution. So just a bit of detail about the story. Osman was on April 16, 2024, charged with robbery, money laundering as well. In addition to robbing a 76-year-old woman at Rage, Yahuza Osmanu is accused of robbing Ms. Matilda Yaba Emisa Arthur, the former Second Lady, attempting to strangle her and repeatedly hitting her head with his gun. According to the prosecution, Osman took 28,000 Ghana cedis, £50 and $2,200 during the robbery of the former Second Lady's residence. Two quick stories. Any thoughts?
Yes. I think that the Second Lady's security should be of paramount to us. And I believe that the Ghana Police Service should be able to beef up her security. She is a public figure. Of course, her husband did serve this nation once upon a time as vice president. Mostly what I know everybody, it's known to everybody, is that the first family is when they are out of power and they are home, they give them some level of security. I think that of the second family should also actually be able to secure their lives. It was sad to have had the attack on her. We wish her well. And then moving on to the story of the Bawumia Palace, I'll use this opportunity to congratulate the Otumfuo and the organizers of the 25th Silver Jubilee celebration. I think that what is happening in Kumasi Bawumia is actually sending a clear signal that there is so much in tourism, and that if we're able to put our tourism well, we would end. You would see that within a few days, a lot of people have moved into Kumasi to actually witness it, and the museum and all of those artifacts being displayed is actually putting Ghana on that globe, that indeed we hold dear our heritage, we hold dear our culture, and it shows how united the traditional part of Ghana is.
Right.
See all of us moving. The news I saw about the government actually sending a signal, a message to the Bawumia Palace that he will be attending the ceremony. Got me excited. How united we are as a people.
Right. The New Finder newspaper, Minister tasks regulator to ensure sanity in buying and selling of pop teas, and the remaining stories we've looked at. The Otumfuo 25, Ekufuado to unveil commemorative stamp, modern Appiatse unveiled, 124 units completed, 50 renovated, 67 more to be built, and GES to absorb 10,000 YEA recruits. I'm done from my end. I don't know whether you have anything else to add. We have to go.
No, we have to go. But let me just put this across, that the GFA has been in the news for some time now, releasing money. Now it's the regional football associations who've received a significant boost after the Ghana Football Association released 300,000 to support payment of officiating fees for the various league competitions organized by the RFAs. The last time it was money to the Ghana Premier League, the various teams of the Ghana Premier League. So I think that's also good news to me, that they're releasing money to ensure that our games or our football or sports sector is not completely going down the drain.
Well, these are things that ought to be done anyway.
Yes.
And that is why FIFA, for example, has systems that
commendable.
Allow teams to benefit from sales of players and all of that.
But there was a story on boxing. There was a story on boxing, and I think that...
We have limited time, so you can go to it. I was about to wrap, but you go ahead.
Yes, the sports ministry should actually also conscious effort to invest in the what I call the minority sports, such as the boxing and the cycling and others. I think they are also very much attractive. Mostly you would hear the news.
Did you just call boxing a minority sport?
Oh, yes. It falls within that category. I mean, the ones we know, you and I know, is always football. Let's not pretend that's not.
No, I don't know about boxing being a minority sport. This country has been known even before the days of DK Poison for boxing and football. So I don't think any sporting person would agree with you. Boxing is a minority sport.
And I'm saying that in terms of investment, that the Boxing Association has always been crying that they need more money, they need more training kits and all of that. And that's why we would term it as such. So I am just the Ministry of Sports to actually also turn an eye on them and not only concentrate.
Nanayao, thank you. We do have to go. Nanayao Sapong is political assistant to Alan Kwejo Chairman. He joined us for this review. Stay tuned for my blunt thoughts after sports. It will be titled Power, Politics, Disrespect and Lies, Burning Issues to Ponder. But before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us, as always, to bring you this segment. And my apologies. They are offering you prostate screening if you're a man, fertility screening if you're a woman. Fortunately, they have many branches. You can reach them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Kronoma Abwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Then there's Takrade, Anaji State, there's Tema Community 22, there's Tichiman Hanswe and Siamanzama. You can also call them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Bringing us to the end of the news review and the start of sports up next Tuesday.